protesters are paid, whoever hired them should get their money back. So Open Borders nutbags in Minnesota attempt to disrupt what they heard was an immigration raid yesterday, and all hell breaks loose. This is what went down.
They took him.
Now, these poor law enforcement, I just feel so bad for them having to deal with this. Can you imagine that? But the people, these protesters, are just not that smart. None of this was true. The raid had nothing to do with illegals. It was focused on drugs and money laundering. Twin Cities News talk radio host John Justice following the story. John, now this turned violent fast, but no arrests. Is that Minnesota nice? You don't arrest these people? What message does this send to other fanatics out there?
Well, Laura, it was absolutely comical to watch all of this play out in real time. The complete misreporting from local news outlets. It's like they were salivating that they finally had an ICE raid that they could go and protest. The elected leadership, they acted like it was Christmas morning and they were running downstairs to open up their presents. They were so excited to go out and protest this. I'm not even joking. And as you said, this wasn't even about immigration. But right now, the leadership, the liberal activist leadership in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, is such an abject failure. They need these controversies to gain support from people. And you're right, Laura. My heart goes out to those brave men and women because I know for a fact, after the show today, talking with leaders within law enforcement, that the agents on the ground that were conducting these raids, these search warrants, they said that if there wasn't for these protesters, they would have come into the community, they would have conducted their raids, they would have collected the evidence, and they would have been gone. And yet, it's the protesters that ended up causing all of the chaos.
But I have to say, I see some of these guys laying hands on these law enforcement. Everyone who touches, they should be thrown into a paddy wagon. Throw them right in. They all have to be arrested. They should have a record for assaulting law enforcement. Yeah, that guy we're showing right now. He keeps hitting his hand. That shouldn't be allowed. It's dangerous.
No, and thankfully, I know, Laura, that there were some arrests that were made later on this afternoon, so I was really pleased to see that.
Okay.
But what do the members of the community really want, Laura? Do they want to have law enforcement come in and deal with what I was told was actually an issue relating to the cartels, right? Or do they want to have this type of behavior anytime somebody comes to actually protect the community? And I can't believe, Laura, you've been here. I can't believe
many times. I know exactly where that is.
People in Minneapolis want.
Yeah, I know exactly that block. I know exactly where they are. And I love these little weenies. They're like all pajama boys wearing their masks and we're tough guys wearing our masks. How embarrassing. I mean, they're embarrassing. They're embarrassing themselves. They want to dox all these ICE agents, and that's what their goal is, to make their lives miserable. So they're anti-law and order, and they're pro-chaos. And Minnesota better wake up. Look at the difference between Iowa and Minnesota. Right next door to each other. Iowa's a great run state, and then you got Minnesota, which is frankly a mess.
I just don't think that people are buying it anymore. And at the moment right now, the Democrats are so out of touch with what the majority of voters want. And I do believe what people in Minneapolis want right now, that they have to resort to this type of ridiculous protesting and pushing back on, they're pushing back on law enforcement wearing masks, for crying out loud. The same tired arguments of the militarization of police. It was ridiculous, Laura. Absolutely ridiculous.
No, I feel so bad for them. It was raining. Not. All right, John, thank you very much. All right.